Assalamu alaikum. Say khair. Hello, everybody. How are you? Meredith, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Brilliant. Pleasure to meet you. If I may, we would like to introduce first who we are as Education USA to the public, and then we would leave the floor to you. How about that?
Sounds great.
Brilliant. So to begin with, hi, my name is Walid Al-Tarabulsi. I'm an Education USA advisor at Amir East Egypt. Education USA, we are mainly an advising program sponsored by the State Department. We're a grant by the State Department, and we operate here in Egypt in two locations, in Cairo, in Amir East, in Du'i, and in Alexandria, in Azarita, Shara Farana, Bardo, Amir East. And in Cairo, I am present here to help you, and Mrs. Yasmin Al-Roueni is present to help you as well, along with our colleague in Alexandria, Ms. Heba Abu Khalifa. We look forward to helping you with anything related to higher education in the USA. We are the official source of information on education in USA, higher education in USA. So if you have anything you would like to ask, please keep following up with our Facebook page. Most probably you will be finding an event such as the one we have today to answer your questions, of course, and other events as well along every month. And today we are trying to help before the start of the season for the applications, as we may call it, to help you understand the common app process and what is needed and do's and don'ts mainly. So Meredith, I leave it to you.
Great. Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Yes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Okay. Great. So hopefully everyone sees the slides. That's okay, Walid, just to make sure.
That is clear enough. All right, brilliant.
Yeah.
Everybody sees everything.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much, Walid, and to the rest of the Education USA staff in Egypt for inviting me today. I'm very happy to be here as a resource for you to share information about Common App and to answer your questions. My name is Meredith Lombardi, and I am the Associate Director for Outreach and Education at Common App. I've been with the organization for a little over 4 years, or going on 5 years. And just really happy to be here with you. Prior to my role with Common App, I was a high school counselor here in the States, working with students as they transition not only from middle school to high school, but also from high school to colleges and universities. And so now I work in a role on Common App's Access and Equity team, helping students and counselors understand the application and college admission process. So really happy to be with you today. We are based in Arlington, Virginia, which is right outside of Washington, D.C. And so we're on a little bit of different time zones, but it's really nice that you all have taken some time out of your day today to listen in. Make sure that this works. Okay, before we get into the meat of the presentation, I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that you probably follow or hear things in the news, and so I wanted to make sure to say that Common App does stand by every international student who is seeking to attend college or university in the United States. There were some recent events with some visa guidance from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement that came out earlier in July. And fortunately, due to some pushback from institutions of higher education, some of those guidelines were reversed later in July. And so please know that social media is a great place to follow as we share any information. But working together here with Education USA and connecting with you today, I hope lets you know that we want to help be a bridge for students who are outside of the US who want to pursue education in the US, that we can help provide a pathway for you as you are looking at institutions of higher learning. The past few months, there has been a lot going on, not only in the US, but also the global community. And so another statement that commonapp put out last month was our support of the Black Lives Matter and the acknowledgement of increased tensions and protests around racial injustices, not only happening here in the United States, but also again in the global community. And so we are taking action as an organization to fight systemic racism and look at racial injustices, both internally within our organization and also what we can do as a member of the higher education community to support the Black community. And so I just wanted to make sure that you also knew about that. Again, 2020 has been a very challenging year, especially again on a global basis. And so when the pandemic hit here, we know that it's followed earlier breakouts across the globe. As early as January, we were hosting webinars to help our member institutions with recruitment and understanding of COVID-19. And then it hit really the US in mid-March. That's when organizations like commonapp, when we started working remotely, as well as then schools being closed to go to virtual learning. And that was again in mid-March. We quickly put up a resource page on commonapp, commonapp.org/coronavirus. It's a landing page where you can go if you need information on things like SAT and ACT information. So it pulls resources from other organizations. The National Association of College Admission Counseling, they were tracking what all institutions across the US were doing in terms of whether students were being allowed to stay on campus or needed to move to virtual, or if they were hosting any kinds of admissions events, how that was taking place. And so we have linked out to those resources. We really have been trying to think about how we can help reduce stress and anxiety in this process, especially because there is so much uncertainty. So the more information we can give to you readily available, that's really our goal. But we also worked with our member institutions and our advisory committees to think about how to create space within the commonapp for next year so that you can discuss the impact of COVID-19 on you within the application. And so I will be sharing with you that question language. Given that you are, not in the US, and it already is hard for you to explore colleges, and even students in the US, it's such a large country that they can't get out and see colleges. And so one of the good things is that colleges have already been great at creating virtual college tours, and hopefully you have been able to explore those. On commonapp's website, we do link out to virtual tours of our member colleges, so you can get to those through commonapp.org/explore. You can also see image galleries on our website of our member colleges. NACAC, that's the National Association for College Admission Counseling, they are also going to be hosting several free virtual college fairs this fall. And this is another opportunity for you to connect with admission representatives. I know that I am sure, going to be virtual events in Egypt for you as well, but I did want to make sure to at least highlight some of these that have either taken place or are going to be taking place. So again, NACAC will be doing one a month starting in September. StriveScan, who typically helps NACAC with their in-person college fairs, they did a series of virtual college fairs earlier in April and May. And the recordings of those interviews with different admission representatives and sessions, those are also available out on StriveScan's website. So if you did have a particular school that you were interested in and wanted to connect with or hear from their admission staff, that is an opportunity. And then CIALFO, another organization, they held a series of online university fairs, and their recordings also are available for free. And those are from back in May. So, you know, with the StriveScan and CIALFO, there's good information in that it was during the pandemic and they were talking about what their schools were currently doing. But as you know, things change week by week, day by day. And so even information that may have been shared in May may already be outdated. Happy to discuss, you know, at the end of this, if you have questions about other places to go for lists and resources when you're trying to just get an understanding of what campuses are currently doing in terms of their reopening plans. Okay, so all of that, this is again what we're going to kind of get through today. Just talk about Common App as who we are, make sure you understand how to approach the application, connect you with tools, and then leave time for your questions. When we go through this, there's something that is taking you away from what you normally would be doing today, because you are passionate about pursuing your degree and possibly in the United States. And so when things can feel really down right now and uncertain, you know, I think if you can think about what are your goals and why are you excited about going to college, and again, possibly going to college in the US, if you can keep that in mind, it can help you through this process. This is a graphic to show you Common App as an organization. We are a not-for-profit membership organization, which means our members make up Common App. We have been around since 1975, so over 40 years, and each year more and more institutions join the organization. Our mission is the pursuit of access, equity, and integrity in the college admission process. And if I didn't say this earlier, I myself sit on Common App's Access and Equity team. This past year, we were just under 900 member institutions. This is a graphic of what a map of Common App member institutions. We do have member institutions in all 50 United States, plus the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. We also have institutions that are international, so 63 international members in 19 countries. What this means is when you create your Common App account, you can apply to as many as 20 institutions within the application. So it does limit you within the application, but those don't necessarily have to be in the US. You could apply to one of our members in the US, but you could also apply to a school, let's say in France. Also, just this to keep in mind that there are more than 897 colleges and universities out there. So not all universities are members of Common App. A good example I'll say is if you are thinking about studying in California, the University System of California and the Cal State universities, those are not members of Common App. So they have a separate application platform. When you think about Common App, that it's not a static list of member institutions, then it's easier to understand that every year new colleges and universities join the membership. And so for this upcoming year, starting in August 2020, there will be an additional 42 now institutions that will be on the Common App platform, which means that you will also be able to apply to any of the schools listed here when you are applying through Common App. Now, if you look numbers-wise, the ones on the right-hand side are public institutions. There are also private institutions. And so if you want the full list of new members, there's a link at the bottom, commonapp.org/blog. That's where you can go to see all of the new member institutions joining Common App. This presentation, if I haven't said it, you will receive a copy of this after this session. So you will have all of this information and be able to access any links that are shared with you today. Just to give you a sense of how many students are using the system each year. So we see over 1 million students submit an application, at least one application through Common App. This past year, we've seen over 5.5 million applications submitted through Common App. That also gives you kind of a general sense, if you do the math, that on average, students are submitting 5.6 applications through Common App. So even though the system opens up to 20, students are certainly not applying to 20 institutions. There's less than 1% of applicants that actually do the full 20. We are not just a US-based organization. When you see that 9% of applications to our member colleges are coming from international students, and they're coming from 213 different countries and territories. So when you start your Common App journey, you start on our website on commonapp.org. And before we even dive into the application, just wanted to highlight some of the resources that are available to you on the website. So first place to go is Explore Colleges page. This is really where you can just find out the basics of who are the Common App member schools. If you have a particular school in mind, you can look up that name to see if they are here, or you can also use our filter options if you are trying to search for schools. Some basic ones you can see here, like public versus private, enrollment size, the type of setting, like whether it's an urban campus in a city or suburban outside of a city. Also, there's filters for the type of financial aid that a school offers, including there's a filter for schools that offer aid for international students. So that's just one I think it's important to highlight. There's also information about schools that are test optional, meaning that they don't require the SAT or ACT. And I did just want to call that out for a second because we have a filter on Common App for our member institutions. But if you do want to get a full list of schools and their test policies as it relates to the SAT and ACT, particularly for fall 2021 admissions, fairtest.org is the place where you can go. They have a full list of colleges, and they really break down information about whether a school is going to consider your scores or not, or if it's a temporary hold on testing because they know that you have not been able to access the SAT or ACT. There's also a link specifically in there for international applicants. So again, this can feel like a very overwhelming process, but if you know the right places to go to find the resources you need, it can really help de-stress in this in the process. So just wanted to make sure I gave that shout out to FairTest. Other parts of the Explore Colleges, again, you can get lists of these schools, but also map views, because again, the US is very large. And when you see that a school is in New York, having a better understanding of whether it's in New York, like close to Manhattan, New York City, versus upstate New York, which could be 5 hours away from New York City, having that sense through a map view, I think is really helpful. You can export lists as well. And on the entire Common App website, there is a global search, just so you're aware. So if there's ever text strings that you're looking for, you can use that search. From the Explore page, you can then go and view individual profiles for any of our member colleges. So there'll be a little introduction, there'll be some tags that relate to that institution, and then there will be this link for academic programs where you find out more information about a school. So some of the majors and again, academic offerings that they have, as well as some student experiences that the school wants to highlight. This is also where you find those virtual tours and image galleries. On the Common Up website, there's also a plan for college page. And so this is kind of like if you're looking for roadmaps of what do I need to be doing to make sure that I'm on track for applying. This is out there. There's also guides to the application and guides to the recommendation process. I mentioned earlier that 9% of applicants are coming from outside of the US, but the process itself can still feel very US centric. And so even things like talking about a high school counselor who does part of the recommendation process for you, you may be at a school or have attended a school that did not have that role of high school counselor in the same way that the US has. And so the guide that's out here can help those who are helping you through the process understand how to navigate their part of how they're supporting you on the recommender side. There's also information about paying for college. There's family and parent resources as well. Okay, so all of that at the website, just to plug to say there's a lot of resources and information out on our website before you even dive into the application. But when you're ready to create your account, you should be on commonapp.org, and you can either click on Apply Now or Create an Account. Common App is an application that does carry over from year to year, which means that there's a reset on August 1st for whatever that current admission cycle is, but you don't have to wait until August 1st to create an account. So if you were to create an account today, you would create your username and password. You might add some colleges to your list. That information, once you logged in after August 1st, would roll over. Of course, if you create your account after August 1st, that's also completely fine. But I did just want to let you, make sure you knew that there's this reset on August 1st, but you don't necessarily have to wait until then to create an account. The information that rolls over is anything that's common. So things that are not specific to a college. And I'll show you the visual on the next slide. But there's something in the application called the Common App tab. So any answers to questions that you put on that tab, that will continue to be there a year over year if you continue to roll your application over. What does not roll over are any college-specific questions. So if a college has their own supplemental essay, for example, you wouldn't want to work on that because that information will change after August 1st. So that's on the My Colleges tab, and you will see that in a second as well. All right, so here we are within the application when you've created your account. I like to start on the College Search tab because this is where you can actually, again, add a college to your list, or if you're still not 100% sure which colleges and you want to do some searching, you can use filters. So there are filters like you see here. There's looking for schools that don't have an application fee. There's filters about whether or not there's writing requirements, different testing policies. There's also, you can do sorts based on, or filters based on location. So if there's a particular state that you're interested in, or a radius around a certain zip code, you can also do that. So those filters exist. This is also where you find the application requirements grid. So if you want to look up a particular school to see when are their deadlines, or what are their testing policies, how many letters of recommendation do they require, you can find all of that there in the requirements grid. Here's the view of the Common App tab. So again, this is where you're putting in information that's not college specific. There are these 7 sections: the profile, family, education, testing, activities, writing, and courses and grades section. And as you complete sections or subsections, you will start to see these green check marks that let you know that you have completed a section. We do offer support throughout the process. So you will see video tutorials. There will be a walkthrough of the application starting after the new 2020 application launches in August. We have links out to Instructions and Help, which is our solution center. There are embedded FAQs throughout. So we really do try to connect you with answers to the questions that you may be having throughout the process. I mentioned the green check marks to indicate when a section is done. You'll also notice that there's a red asterisk anytime a question is required. And I say this in the sense of that means that questions that don't have a red asterisk are not required. So in this example, we do get questions to our Solutions Center from students in the US and international about class rank reporting, the grade point average scale, weighting, what GPAs are, whether they're weighted or unweighted. And if it doesn't apply to you, you do not have to answer these questions. So just know that. And there's also this blue box is an example of an FAQ that we have about, reporting class rank and GPA. And so it says, like, if your school does not rank, you can just select none. If your school doesn't calculate a cumulative GPA, you can leave that field blank. And it's just, again, when we try to account for 1 million students coming from so many different school systems in the US and abroad, we can't capture everything. And so we try and make the questions not required if it's going to cause more confusion and not be applicable. Another part of the application we get questions on is the activity section, because it can take time to actually, think through what you want to share with colleges about what you have done during high school or secondary education. In this part of the application, you can report up to 10 activities, and you will be asked to estimate the amount of time you spend in each activity. And this is because you may have done, let's say, an organization or a club or a sport. It might be just for part of the year, or it may be for a full year, or you may have participated in something that was one weekend, but it was very meaningful to you. So they just want to get a sense of the time commitment for an activity, the colleges. Also want to highlight that family responsibilities and work also count as activities. So just trying to think about this section as more than just, school activities, but also experiences. This is what it looks like once you go to add an activity, where you'll have to then provide additional information. And one thing I wanted to note is there's currently a question that says position, leadership description, and organization name if applicable. And it's a required question. It's actually getting split out into 2 different questions for next year. So if you do start putting information in here now, just be on the lookout for that after August 1st, because you will be able to have one question that's the position or leadership description, which is the required question, and then there'll be a separate optional organization name field. Again, just point of reflection. When you're thinking about this, what are the experiences and activities that have been most meaningful to you that you want to share? You can add up to 10, but you certainly do not have to. In the past, we've seen students add around average of 5. But if you have 10 and you need more space, we do have an additional information section where you can either elaborate or talk more about a particular experience, or add additional experiences. So one of those other 7 sections is the writing section. And this is where you can do your Common App personal essay. You can choose from 7 different essay prompts that talk and guide you in 7, answering 7 different questions. So the themes around those questions are personal growth, facing adversity, your background, identity, interest, or talent, intellectual curiosity, problem solving, challenging an idea, and then there's an open-ended topic of your choice if you don't want to select one of the other prompts. These are not questions to be answered, so I just want to say that, but they are to help guide you in your writing. So you don't have to feel that you are trying to answer a question. But this is your opportunity to give voice to your application. A lot of the other parts of applications, whether it's Common App or any other platform, are just, filling text out in a box, like your address and the name of your school, and don't really give, help you get out your character and your voice. So this is that place where you can do that. But the essay is not required for all schools. So that's just something else to keep in mind. When you are in your application, you're going to see a chart that shows you which schools it's required for and which schools it's optional, which means if you want to share it with colleges, you can, but you do not have to. In the writing section, there's also that additional information section or question. So if you, again, throughout your application, need to find a place to add something else, you can always use that additional information question. Completely optional. We are also integrated with Google Drive. So if you do have any files that you keep on Google Drive, you can grab content from your files to pull them into your application. Within this writing section, this new COVID-19 question is going to live. And again, it's its own question, and it says, because I want to go through the language, community disruptions such as COVID-19 and natural disasters can have deep and long-lasting impacts. If you need it, this space is yours to describe those impacts. Colleges care about the effects on your health and well-being, safety, family circumstances, future plans, and education, including access to reliable technology and quiet study spaces. For more information, check out our FAQ. A few things to note about this. One is that this language was created, again, working with our counseling advisory group as well as our member advisory groups. Intentionally, the question is optional. If you choose to respond to this question, you can certainly do that. If you do not want to, you do not have to. It is not an essay length question. So the essays, for example, the commonapp personal essay is 650 word limit. This question has a 250 word limit. So we're telling you it's not expected that you're going to write this in an essay format. This is more of just trying to give you space to share, again, if you would like to. Again, it's located in the additional information section, and it's not a replacement for the additional information question, which still remains there at the 650 word limit. If you do have questions about this question or how it was developed, again, there's a link to the blog post that we posted about this. Also, so you know, your counselor or whoever is going to be submitting your academic record for you as part of your application, they also will have a COVID-19 question where they can talk about things like if your school went from in-person to virtual learning, or if certain courses were canceled, if things were moved to pass-fail. So they'll be able to talk about the impact to your entire school community. Another thing that I think ties into the COVID-19 question is a lot of students, want to know what are colleges looking for from students who are applying to college for next year. And the Harvard Graduate School of Education has a project there called Making Caring Common. And they recently released a statement that has been signed by over 350 college admissions deans that is offering advice to students just like you about how to think about your applications. And so this is what is being underscored within that statement, and that the college admission deans are saying, first and foremost, they want to emphasize self-care, that you are taking care of yourself during this time. Secondly is that they will look at your academic work within the context of any obstacles that you have faced. Third, they're going to look at and value service and contributions to others, meaning have you responded in some way where you've needed to or have chosen to help others during this time. Fourth, family contributions. Have you had to take on responsibilities such as supervising younger siblings or caring for sick relatives or picking up work to contribute to your family's income. And then the fifth, when evaluating your extracurricular and summer activities, they have said in this statement that they will not penalize you if you have not been able to engage in activities during this time. They recognize that sports have been canceled, summer programs have been canceled, internships have been canceled, the things that you wanted to do in person, you could no longer do. And so colleges don't want you to be stressing about these things during your applications. They still want to know about you during this pandemic, but also, what your life was like prior to the pandemic. On the right, you can just see one of the messages from one of the colleges, so Co-College, about joining this statement, and that if you want to read some other messages from the different colleges, if you go out on social media to the Making Caring Common project, you can just read so many of these other just positive messages that are shared with you. I'm just checking time, see how we're doing. Okay, so after the Common App tab is the My Colleges tab within the application. And that is where you'll go to actually answer college-specific questions, which is on the simplest level, telling a college whether you're applying to them under what admission deadline. Like, are you applying early action? Are you applying regular decision? Are you applying early decision? So you have to let the colleges know. Are you planning to live on campus? Are you, they may ask you some additional family questions. So there's just like those extra questions that schools want to know beyond what we ask on the Common App tab. You will do those here. You'll also do a FERPA release authorization, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which basically just means that you own your academic records, so you're giving permission to your school and to your teachers and professors to submit those transcripts and letters of recommendation to the colleges on your behalf. This is where you will invite, again, a counselor and teacher recommender, and ultimately you will submit your application to the individual colleges here. You can see it in accordion style. If a school has an additional writing supplement, meaning like a second essay, you may see it here. So this example, University of Pennsylvania, there's a separate part for writing supplement. So it's like 2 submissions that go to this individual institution. Just wanted to kind of call out the different recommender types within Common App. So the counselor one first, that's the person at your school who has access to your academic records. They are the ones who can send a transcript over to the colleges by accessing Common App's recommender system. There's also a counselor letter of recommendation. Not all colleges require it. Around 40% of our members do. When you invite someone as a counselor, they can also track your application completion progress, which means they can see, has this applicant or student filled out the family section, or have they filled out the writing section? They can't see what you put in there unless you actually turn on that feature, but you control how much information that your counselor sees. The teacher recommender type, again, someone who's taught you in an academic setting. You can invite different numbers depending on the college, but I just wanted to highlight that there are no Common App member schools that require more than 2 teacher recommenders. Again, some will accept 3 or more, but there's not a requirement more than 2. And again, some do not require teacher letters of recommendation. Then there's a third category for other recommender, and that's, let's say, someone outside of the school. So if you have an advisor you're working with, you'd like to write a letter, or an employer, or a religious leader, you have the option to invite another recommender, completely optional. And then there's a fourth type, which is an advisor, and that's someone that someone who may be helping you with the college process that you want to share your application with so that they can help you along the way. You can invite up to 3 advisors. That information is not shared with colleges, so they can't see if you've invited an advisor because that advisor is not submitting anything for you. But that advisor, then you can again turn on this feature of application preview so that they can actually see your in progress application if you would like them to have that visibility. The why behind letters of recommendation, just like your essay gives a voice to your application, your letters of recommendation give additional character to you as an applicant. And so as colleges are reviewing your application, they're assessing you for fit within their community, and they use the letter to help guide their decision making. And this is an opportunity to discuss you as a person beyond just your grades from your classes or test scores that you may have. Again, now is a great time to be thinking about and even getting into the system to see how many letters of recommendation you may need, and thinking about who you might want to ask and why. And then what's the process for asking that person to write a letter for you. All right, so I think I only have like 5 minutes more of content and then I will get to your questions. But just wanted to point out some of the other tools that are there for you. There's a place on Common App's website called commonapp Ready, and this is where you can get resources throughout every part of the application process. For example, out here, there's an application dictionary, just knowing that there's a lot of terminology used and acronyms used, so you can get definitions. There are also guides specifically for international students that are out on Common App Ready. So it's a great resource to check out, and it's somewhere that we continue to add resources. We also have available 7. Again, important when you're thinking about not everyone is located in the same time zone. So we do have our Solution Center team available whenever you need them. So even if you're working at your time at midnight, whatever time that is here, anytime you're working, you can always contact them through appsupport.commonapp.org, and they will usually get back to you in 15 minutes or less. We also do have chat hours available, which are more geared towards the East Coast time. So in the heat of the application season, it's usually from like 12 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. On the Applicant Solution Center website, I just wanted to call out this writing requirements resource where you can look up any college and you can actually see what their writing requirements are. Not just whether they require the Common App essay, but if they also have any additional long answer or upload questions. And you'll even be able to see if the writing is part of that first submission of Common App, or if it's a separate writing supplement as in a second submission. So you can take a look at this resource at any time, now even, but just to keep in mind that what you see out there currently is for the 2019-2020 application cycle. And so we will be updating it in August for your year, so for fall 2021 admissions. We also have our as part of our Access and Equity team, we have the Reach Higher initiative, which was started by former First Lady Michelle Obama. And this is a great place for you to connect with student-facing resources. Some of the things we do through Reach Higher are celebrating College Signing Day, when students are committing to go to college. We just had a virtual graduation celebration that we did through Reach Higher. We'll be hosting a summer Beating the Odds summit with students over the next few weeks, virtually, of course. But there are also these guides to your first year of college and following along students in their first year of college through partnerships that Reach Higher has with YouTube and Instagram. So just wanted to make sure to highlight those. Also, again, if you're on social media, part of our Reach Higher team is Bettermakeroom, which is a place or a place you can tag or go on social media just to see student stories about their, pursuing higher education and being excited about the opportunity that college provides for them. Again, we're on social media, so whether you connect with us at commonapp, reachhigher, or bettermakeroom, we'd love to have you and see you there. It's just where we post all of our updates. And hopefully this has gotten you thinking about, what are the next steps that you want to take as you begin this college journey. And with that, I think I am ready for your questions.
Meredith, thank you so much for this lovely presentation and for clarifying many parts I think that needed to be clarified throughout the application process. So thank you again for that. Let's see I actually had a question. That we work closely with some of the students and we're aware of what they're going through, and I think there are some sections across the application that need to be highlighted today in regards to what applies to like non-residents who have the American citizenship, or on the other hand, people who are living there but do not have like certain legal status that would allow them to continue, like which ports are for the international students and which are for the residents.
Yep. So that's a great question. There are a few places in the application that get at either residency or citizenship. And so the students are just, again, they're asked, where are you currently located? And that's for their address. But then there's also, where is your school located? And then if your school is located outside of the US, then there are some additional questions about your international school. And then there are questions about citizenship, where you can specify whether you are a US citizen, a dual citizen, an Egyptian citizen, multiple countries. So you can add whichever countries you have citizenship. And then if you specify that you are like an international student, it will ask you if you currently have a visa, or if you plan to apply for a visa, or if you just are not sure yet. Because some students just don't even know about the visa process yet. And that shouldn't be a barrier for submitting their application for colleges. And one other thing I just wanted to note in the application, because the screenshot was not in this presentation, but within the education section, there's also this community-based organization question. And so if a student's working with an Education USA advisor, or with another organization, or more than one organization, they can indicate that within the application. Education USA is one of the organizations in that dropdown. So they can let colleges know that they're working with you.
Okay, and that's in the education section, you said?
Yes.
Right. I'll make sure to remember that. Okay, moving to the questions. We can skim through the questions and try to see.
Okay. Did you want me to look at the Q&A as well, or do you want to monitor the Q&A?
Whichever you would prefer. Would you like to go ahead and take them?
No, I like you.
And we can share.
You go ahead, because I think that you'll have a better sense of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think one of the main questions that we face regularly is the fee waivers, how they can ask for fee waivers, and what is the role of the school in that case. Can schools actually ask for fee waivers as well?
Great question. And also did not have that screenshot in this presentation. And at any time, I'm more than happy to share my screen and log into the application if that would be helpful.
Definitely.
Yeah. So The fee waiver question, and here, let me just, because I'm a visual person, so I think if I get in there, then everyone can at least see that. Okay, 1 second.
Okay, while we're waiting for it, someone else is asking something else regarding the application fee.
Okay.
What is the amounts that they're going to pay? Are they going to pay for each separate university? Can they ask for separate fee waivers maybe, or just one in bulk form so they can apply to many universities?
Yep, great questions, because it can be confusing. So let me show you a few different places. The short answer is every college sets their own application fee. And so for one school, it might be $50. For another school, it may be $75. For another school, it may be $0. When you request the fee waiver, it automatically allows you to apply to the schools without paying the application fee. The piece to keep in mind is that it is a request for a fee waiver. So a college individually could reach back out to an applicant or student to say, we see that you've submitted your application, you requested a fee waiver, but we do not recognize fee waiver requests from international students. And so they then may ask the student to pay the fee, in which case the student can go into their Common App and pay the fee. So that's the only part that can be challenging with fee waivers, particularly for international students. It's really best to know, like if you qualify for the fee waiver based on your, when you look at the different criteria, which I'll show you here, you should go ahead and request it. You can also reach out to colleges in advance and ask them if they accept the commonapp fee waiver from international students. That's another, again, if you want to do that upfront. So let's start here. College search tab, when you go to application requirements, this pulls up that requirements grid. And you can see here, it has the whole list of schools. There's 2 columns for app fees, one for US students and then one for international students. Oftentimes they're the same, but you could find one that's not. You can also do a sort, so you can actually see, all of these colleges that have no fee, whether you're, for an international student, regardless of the fee waiver. So that's one place to look. Oh, and you can also download the full grid if you want. It's all 900 colleges, so it's a pretty hefty file, but it's a great resource, especially for advisors. On the college search tab under the filters, you can also here just get, no fee for international applicants, and you can see 424 colleges do not even have a fee, again, regardless of fee waiver. Then on the Common App tab in the profile section, all students, again, see the question, Common App fee waiver, and it says, our member colleges want to make sure that application fees do not pose a barrier for any student who wishes to apply for admission. Do you feel that your financial circumstances might qualify you for a fee waiver? So if you click yes, then you have to choose one of these criteria. And again, they definitely are US centric. But if you find one that's about like family income levels, or you're enrolled in a particular program that aids specifically low-income families, or any of these other criteria, or even this bottom one, like I can provide a supporting statement from a school official, college access counselor, financial aid officer, or community leader. As long as you say yes and select one of these, you sign your name, then there's a question for US residents about Strive for College, which you would probably not see if your address is located outside of the US. it says that your counselor will also be asked to verify this, but that doesn't prevent you from getting the fee waiver. So again, just by doing this question alone, your fees would be waived for any school that you apply to via Common App at the time of applying. But a college could come back and ask you to pay the fee after, later on in the review process. So that's just the part I want to like be careful on with the fee waiver request. Does that help?
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Someone is asking about the location where they can upload their portfolio if they're applying to a certain art school.
Great. Great question. Love your questions. Okay. So
It's
Common App.
Egypt. We have like a variety of students interested in a lot of things. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No worries. So Common App is integrated with SlideRoom, and not all of our members choose to use the SlideRoom integration. And so if you're applying to an arts program, you have to know, based on their website and admission criteria, they'll either say, hey, we want you to upload through SlideRoom through Common App, or on their admissions website, they'll say, we have a separate portal where you can upload your portfolio. But here on this requirements grid, is it on here? Hold on. Let me see 1 second. Oh, here, portfolio, SR. That means SlideRoom. And so, oh, perfect, lovely. Okay, and so this is actually even better. It tells you for a particular college whether they use their own portfolio system, meaning like it's not integrated through SlideRoom through Common App, but they have their own separate college portfolio place, or you can see or if they use the SlideRoom integration, which means that we will connect you between the Common Apps system and the SlideRoom system, so you can put your portfolio into SlideRoom, and then it would connect with your Common App account.
Brilliant. Okay, here we go. Someone is asking about something about the cycle in the application. He's asking how many colleges they can apply for in the early decision cycle. So we need to clarify how they are going to distribute these colleges among the different cycles.
Yep. So the policy practices are that you can apply to one early decision school because it is a binding agreement, which means you are committing to say, like, if this school admits me, I agree to go to this school. Now you can apply to, again, one early decision school, but then you can apply as like a regular decision or even early action under other colleges. So it's just that you can't apply to two early decision schools, but you can do one early decision, and then you can apply regular, non-binding under other schools. And I believe, and let me just take a look.
Can they apply to the same school that they've applied to through ED during the regular decision cycle or the early action cycle, if possible? Or is it just the once and that's it? Maybe there's change within that month that happened.
Right. So within Common App system, you cannot apply to one school twice. Usually what happens is, let's say that you apply early decision, the school can make three different decisions. They can either say, we accept you, they can say, we deny you, or they can say, we're going to defer you and we're going to move you to the regular decision pool. With that deferment, then they're handling everything outside of Common App. So you've already, in essence, applied to the school, but if they want any additional materials, they're going to request all of that outside of Common App through their own school portal. So you wouldn't need to reapply there because they already have your information. And same with, like, let's say you were denied under early decision, they wouldn't consider you for regular decision for reapplying that application year. if you ever had questions about that, I would recommend reaching out to a school. So let's say,
To the school itself.
yeah, and to say like, I was denied, however, the wrong transcript was uploaded for me, or, there's new information that I have, and find out what their process is if they say that they would consider you under a different admission plan.
Okay. Okay. Right.
I wanted to just see if I can show you, because I believe that it's here. Let me do, of course, under a regular, or under a early decision plan, there's a chart that we should have in here. Okay, so this is where you're saying like, I understand early decision policies, and okay, that's um, that was not helpful. I thought that there was a link to this comparison chart. Go ahead and ask your next question. I'm just going to search for something while I'm thinking about it.
All right.
All right.
Someone is asking, are there provisions for homeschooled students? So what is the policy for homeschooling? We do not have, I'm not aware if Egypt allows like homeschooling here, but if they're applying to international universities like in the US, what is the deal with this, with homeschooling?
Yep. So there are questions specifically, if you indicate that you're a homeschool student, there are just additional questions that you are asked, as well as there's I believe, a homeschool supplement that whoever is overseeing you, whether it's again your parent or another organization, that they fill out as part of the counselor forms. So the schools accept homeschooled students for sure. They just need to have more information about the program and curriculum that you're following.
Okay. Within the same subject, so someone is asking, what if my school doesn't have a counselor? I think we've mentioned earlier that you can maybe reach out to a teacher that is holding that role in your school, or someone who is involved in the process of maybe recommending students for some activities, someone who is that active. You can reach out to them. Most probably, like in most culture, you'll find that to be the English teacher in your school. So you can start there and see where that leads you. However, this will lead us to another question regarding creating a school profile altogether from the beginning. Because who would be responsible for this? Like, do they need to have school authorization so they can start doing the process of starting a school profile, or what exactly? Like from the other side, from the teacher's side.
Yep. So that can definitely be a challenge. Again, if a school does not have a counselor and they do not have like a 1-page or 2-page school profile, the good part is that the questions are generic enough that anyone at the school, whether it's the head of school or principal or the teacher doing the counselor forms, they will be able to answer the questions like, how many students attend your school? What are the breakdowns? Somewhere, someone at the school has that information, and just keeping in mind that not all of the questions in the school profile section are required questions. Yeah, and that's another, so I'm just going to show you some places where I'm at. So I'm on the app support, the Solution Center page, and I wanted to find the PDFs of all of the forms that are part of the process. So again, Common App, we try and do everything online, right? Like the applications online, all of the forms, like from the counselor and teacher recommenders, are all online through a recommender system. But we do have, for those that need paper forms, we have put them out on our website under accessibility. You also can find them when you are let me see here. Nope, not there. When you're on the apply website, I think it's at the bottom. It says accessibility information. That takes you right to the PDFs of the forms. It takes you to this FAQ. And so the, let's see, the school report form, that's the form that the person who fills in the seat of the school counselor, that's the information that they are completing in the online system. And so I'm just trying to think about some of the questions that may be there, like class rank, class size, the GPA scale. These are not as detailed as the profile. So hold on one second. Oh, here you can see like the homeschool supplement, international school supplement. But let me log into the recommender system to show you.
Okay, and on a related note, apparently we have a teacher with us attending this presentation as well, and she's asking, in some cases our school CEEB code is not recognized by some college. I'm not familiar, I'm sorry, with CEEB code. What are the reasons for that, and how can we fix it?
Sure. So CEEB codes are basically the identifier that the College Board uses for particular schools. And so not all schools, especially outside of the United States, do SAT testing, for example, or not testing sites. And so they don't have testing materials mailed to them. So therefore the school never has a CEEB code. So there's two things. There's a few ways you can get around that. And to your question, it's here in this education section where individuals can look up their CEEB. So you can again, you can search by CEEB code, but you can also, let's just say, search by country. So these are the current schools that do have a CEEB code, which means that in some way the school has a relationship with the College Board. We use that within commonapp because there are schools that use other college software, like Naviance, if you're familiar with Naviance, or Cialfo, or Maya Learning, and they integrate with the commonapp. And so we understand the integration based on a school's CEEB code. If you do not have a CEEB code, you don't see your school in here, that's completely fine. You just say, I don't see my high school in this list. And the only part for you is that just means that the student has to then fill out, where their school is located. If you are a school that has a CEEB code, but it's not showing up in commonapp, then you could just contact commonapp, and we would be able to update our records. Or if you're a school that doesn't have a CEEB code, but you want to have a CEEB code, then you get that through the College Board, which also has ETS. I know this is like getting into the weeds, but on, again, let's say the Solution Center website, you can just
Meredith, if I may jump in, you're aware that you're not sharing your screen, right?
Oh, I did not know.
Okay.
No.
It's not shared.
I must have accidentally hit the stop share. So sorry. I've been popping around.
Just wanted to make sure that your message comes through.
Perfect. Okay. So I don't know when I stopped sharing. I'm so sorry. Okay. Hold on. Let's see. You can see it now, okay? I'm so sorry that I stopped sharing.
Yep. Really?
Okay. So earlier I was showing you all, there's the Solution Center for applicants, which is the app support website. There's also a Solution Center with some different questions and answers for recommenders, which is rec support. And here I am just searching CEEB, and it's how do I request a CEEB code for my school? And so it gives directions to say CEEB codes are given out by College Board. You have to contact College Board their code control, and you can email them. And then there's like forms that they give you if you want a seed code. So we don't give out the seed codes. We just get the list from College Board every year. I wanted to go back because, again, I don't know when I stopped sharing. This is a graphic which I'd be happy to share with you, to send this over, but we link out to the different definitions of the admission plans. So, and this is coming from NACAC, the National Association for College Admission Counseling, and it discussed the difference, like what early decision means in terms of binding versus the non-binding plans of like regular decision, rolling, or early action. And again, our system will prevent a student from applying to 2 schools under early decision. You can only do 1 within commonapp. Oh, I wanted to get into, so I was going into the recommender system to show you the counselor profile, so that students, you can see the types of questions that the counselor person has to fill out. And so in the profile information, you can see, like, again, there's some questions that are required, like how large is the graduating class size, but then there are all these other questions about the number of students going on to 2-year colleges or 4-year colleges, race and ethnicity questions, citizenship questions, all of these types of questions, just for the colleges to have a better understanding of the school. They are not all required questions. So if the person at the school doesn't know these things, they don't have to answer them. Or if they're answered in another way, you can see there's attach your school profile here. It allows the person at the school to upload a school profile if they have one.
So there are questions regarding the additional information section. I see someone asking like the form in which they can write. Would it be like an essay? How would they mention information there? And someone else is asking about what if they were mentioned in the news? Like which section they would mention that? And I think it would fit in the additional section as well if you want to mention that, but it's more importantly why you were featured in the news. I think it would be mentioned elsewhere on your application, of course, but let me know what you think.
Yeah, I think that this is another, there are no right or wrong answers when you approach the application. We try to give you space to tell your story, but we don't tell you where to tell your story, if that makes sense. So in this example of, let's say, being in the news, this may be something that you want to write your essay on, and that your space is there. You may be wanting to write your essay on something else, but still mention this. And so I'm showing you the additional information part of the application, and it's just an open-ended box. It does not have to be essay formed in any way. And I would say in some senses it shouldn't be, because you already have written one essay. So what I've seen some students do is, they'll put like some headers, and then they'll put information that they want. So they're basically saying, I'm adding more information about this particular section of the application. Again, you don't have to do this. If you wanted to write something about, for more information, or I want to share this profile, or I have this online presence, check out my blog. And then you can put a link. Let's see. So it's not meant to be an essay format. And you can, the good thing within the application is every section has a preview button. So you can actually look to see how it's going to appear for the colleges. This is actually what they see when they are reviewing your application.
Okay. Alaa is asking a question about should I find a good editor at working on my Common App? I didn't fully understand the question. Alaa, can you please explain it a bit, or should I do it my own? How should applicants approach the essays through the COVID-19? I think there was a part in the beginning of the presentation, Alaa, regarding the response to COVID-19 and how there will be a separate section for you to talk about the implications and how it affected you. I think through 250 words that should be enough, and I think it's a smart way of encouraging the students to use the personal essay section to actually write their personal essay and not be absorbed into using COVID-19 as the source of inspiration for their personal essay. So Alaa, have you explained your question? I'm not fully aware of what you meant.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say, and if I'm not answering your question correctly, you can also just say this, but
Yeah.
certainly students, have advisors that help review their application, to look for typos and to read it and give feedback. So if you have a parent or a brother or sister or cousin or advisor, Education USA advisor, or someone that you want to look over your application, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not required or necessary, but certainly you have that option. That's what I was mentioning here in that, where you can invite an advisor. And it's here I am I'm in recommenders in FERPA, and there's this advisor role where you can share out your application. And I think I showed you, so I'm logged into the recommender system over here. And I don't even know, hold on, which student am I in? Okay, great. And so as the advisor, I can see what the student has put in, just like, I had just made on the application side. I started typing in some of that additional information. I am now seeing it through the advisor role in the recommender system. And so it's a way for, if you're working with an advisor, where they can, provide feedback to you to say like, oh, I noticed that you have a typo or something like that. Or there's another way you could be saying this.
Just proofreading or seeing if any other ideas works better for
Yep.
students mainly. So on a closing note, there was a question regarding simply tips on making filling the Common App easier. Any tips in that regards?
We really have tried to streamline and simplify the process. So our hope is that as you go through it, that you find it very clean and intuitive, and that even just some simple things where you're allowed to bounce around, you don't have to go in a linear order. So if you want to start in the family section first and then pop into the testing section, then you can go in whatever order makes sense for you. If you have already created your account, I would just say after August 1st, you make sure that you go through each section and review your answers again, because you may find that you want to change something, or in the when I had spoken earlier about how the activities section, the one question is breaking out into two, you may want to go then and break out your response into the two questions as well. And then I would say, of course, like definitely you should proofread your own application. And then if you have someone else that you trust, that you want to share your application with, so they can just glance over it, that won't hurt you in any way. But always keep in mind that you want to maintain your voice in your application. So just be careful of, if you have too many people review your application and your writing, then it may start to water down your original voice, and you don't want that to happen, because everyone has an opinion, and they may not agree with yours. And ultimately, you want this to be your story that comes through, not some version that others have crafted for you.
The keyword here is originality. Okay,
Yep.
so two final questions apparently came in. One is the common app essay required for the university itself, or just the app? So there are two types of essays that you will encounter. One is general for all of the universities, and then when you pick the universities that you intend to apply to, then you will be asked to add some supplemental essays as well to help with your application. I don't know if there is anything else to be added to this. I think so. Is it
Yeah.
just for the university itself, or is it for the app? Like, I know the university sees it. Of
Yeah.
course,
Well,
it's the main part.
so this is the chart that I was describing during the slides earlier. So I'm in the personal essay question in the writing section, and it will show you the breakdown of the schools on your list, which ones require the Common App personal essay and which ones do not require it. So in this example, Penn State, you could apply to Penn State without writing the Common App personal essay. If you write one, you can submit it to Penn State, but it is not required. So not all Common App members require the personal essay. If I come back to this college search and go to the filters, you can, do not require the Common App personal essay. There's 393 colleges that do not require the essay.
Okay.
And you could even say, and which ones don't require any college specific essays. There are 216 colleges that don't require any essay. And then you could see which of those schools there are. So not all schools require essays. Yep.
You learn something new every day. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's why it's good to get on, and it's great to hear the questions, because if you don't hear the questions, you don't know. So now you know.
I know. Is the common app all right? Someone is asking a little off-topic question. Do colleges realize that I will be applying to other universities and that I'll not be able to pay, say, 10 applications? Should I mention it in my financial pass? So first, are other universities aware that you're applying to them as well?
We do not share your college list with any schools, so they don't know if you're applying to one school or to 10 schools.
Okay, all right. So if you cannot afford the application fee to 10 application, I think, yeah, like the financial status altogether should be mentioned, and then according to what you request, if they see it feasible, they will grant you your request, definitely. So through explaining this case, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to also say that, so I showed you the Common App fee waiver, which is across all colleges, but individual colleges can also grant fee waivers. So if, like, you could always reach out to an individual college to see if they can grant you their own here, like, do you intend to use one of these school-specific fee waivers? And they talk about, QuestBridge, or I'm on a fee waiver agreement, or I've been pre-authorized for a fee waiver by a Wesleyan staff member. So there are ways for you to reach out to colleges if you wanted to get a fee waiver directly from them, separate from the Common App fee waiver.
Okay, all right. Good. So I think this is one interesting question as well I wanted to know. So if they submitted their personal essay for the ED cycle, is it possible for them to make any changes on it for the RD and the EA?
Yep. The questions have been so wonderful during this presentation.
Okay.
You all have really been thinking through this process.
Exactly. This is what we do with them.
Yeah, and these are very important questions. The answer is yes, you can make edits. Basically, you can change any information that you have on this Common App tab, which includes your essay. So the only thing that you can't change is once you hit submit to a particular school, you can't change what you've submitted to that school. So again, if you applied early decision, let's say to Northwestern, you can't edit your Northwestern application, but you can change the answers on the Common App tab to be used for any of the future submissions you do to any additional school.
Okay.
Yep. So again, you can add activities for that next school. You can change what you might have in the additional information. If you catch a typo in your essay, you can fix that for your next submission. You can make, again, unlimited edits to information on the Common App tab.
Brilliant. Okay. Someone is asking for finally the date where the applications will be starting. I think August, but August which day exactly? 1st?
Mm-hmm. August 1st. Yeah.
August 1st.
And yep. And that, let me just look, just so I can show you the note. That's kind of small here, but the current application is going to close on July 28th. So basically the 2019-2020 application closes on July 28th. And then it will be down the 29th and 30th and 31st. And then on August, the 2020-2021 application will open up again. And again, if you already have created an account, you'll just then be asked if you want to roll your information over.
Okay. Looking forward to another cycle. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Meredith. Thank you so much for your assistance today. Your information was really wonderful, and I'm sure that many will benefit from it. By the way, we are recording this and it will be posted on Facebook, and we're recording it to be uploaded to YouTube as well. I'll make sure to share the link with you in case you see some questions that can be answered through this with some of your students as well.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And it's in the presentation, and I will send you the slides so you can share them out. But if you ever want to reach out directly to our Solution Center, the email is appsupport@commonapp.net. And thank you so much for connecting me today, Waleed, with your students, and for giving this opportunity for us to have just open question and answer. It's been really great.
Thank you so much. If you may take one more question, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
If I'm doing a specific activity several years, but I stopped for a long period, then completed it again, how can I represent that in the questions on the activity section?
Yep. So one, we try to have within the activity section, what you've done, let's say during your time in high school, again, the secondary school years, or if you've done it after high school, if you have been out of school for several years, you can indicate like postgraduate as the option. But if you find that the boxes don't adequately show or demonstrate your activity, or those like that break in time or whatever, that's a perfect example of when you would want to use the additional information box, where you could just put a little header for activities, and then you could write in there about that particular activity and discuss the timing that you did that activity.
Okay. You are welcome, Mustafa. Thank you again, Meredith.
Okay.
Thank you guys for attending this, and we will meet you again on another informative day. Thank you, Meredith. Looking forward to it again.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, have a great night.
You as well. You as well.
All right, thanks.
Yes. Bye.